You're good.
Dorothy?
Mm-hmm. I'm here.
Well, it says, Michael, it says it's not connected here, though.
Connected here.
I know
Let's
it's.
do it.
Oh, now we're on the air. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to SantaCruzVoice.com. Thank you for your patience. Happy Saturday, November 15th. We should be on. We're on. Good morning. Dorothy, we're on.
Great.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. There's always something technical in the control room. Thank you, Michael Olson. Sit down, Michael. Don't go running away. I always have my co-pilot. It's another Saturday on SantaCruzVoice.com. It's me, Bettina McBee, Bettina's Buzz. Thank you, as we're always going through something exciting in the control room, but we don't crash and burn when I have my co-pilot with me. And without any further ado, on the line with me is a longtime friend. Dorothy, I'm going to call you a longtime friend, though we've reunited recently.
Yeah.
Artist, wonderful friend, Dorothy Annette. Hi, Dorothy.
Hi. Hello, Bettina.
Thank you for
How are
being with
you?
us this morning. I'm really good. I'm good. Tell us, how's everything in San Diego this morning?
Well, everything is wet this morning. It's been raining since we expected the rain, by the way, and we anticipated that it would start heavy, but it started really, really slowly, and now it's at a crescendo, and the roads are becoming empty. Cars are not driving. First day of rain is always traumatic for us down here.
It's the first day of rain. You haven't had rain for a few days?
We haven't had rain for a few months, more
Oh,
like.
because we've been having rain here for a few days. So it was
Oh,
sprinkling driving in from Marina here to Santa Cruz to CTV Studios, satellite media, where we're located. But yeah, we've been having some rain for days. But even though it's rainy, here we are, huh, Dorothy?
that's right.
S-
That's right.
So I'm going to share with
We are.
everybody. Dorothy and I met many years ago. Dorothy, what was it? At least 30 years ago, if not more. When
Yeah,
I
in the early 90s.
Yes, and I was traveling around and ventured to San Diego and was doing some art modeling there, and that's how I met you. And just take us back to that time, Dorothy, and then we'll come up to the current. You had Jug Belly Studios then, and just tell us what you were involved in then when we met, and then again we'll come to the current.
Okay. Well, the first thing that happened was I decided to jump into, as Langston Hughes would say, the the big C of being a professional artist, and so I changed my name, my last name, and I became Dorothy Annette. Just my first two names. And I decided I had a studio downtown where there is a ballpark now, by the way. And the studio was called Jug Belly Studio. It was named after me. and and what most people have forgotten is when I first entered the art world arena, I was learning how to draw at the city college in the evening because I worked in the daytime, and a model there. Like we got to have live drawing models. The model that came invited me to be a model, and so part of funding my new pursuit was modeling.
How did you like that?
Well, when I first started, I just did portraits and things, portraits. So I had all my clothes on. And, but eventually I was able to really get comfortable being a professional model. And I modeled at colleges and studios and artist studios. And I met one of my best painting teachers because I modeled for his class, and I begged him to teach me.
And
So,
who is this painting teacher?
oh, his name is Carl Provder, and he probably lived about 25 miles from me. If I lived downtown San Diego, where the Petco Park is now, um, he lived in Encinitas. Bettina, you would know where that is. And so that was about 20 miles away. And I would hop in my car and drag uh, 6 to 7 paintings to his studio to critique as I had my class. And I would do that in 6 to 7 paintings in a week.
Wow. That's a lot
I
of
know
work.
it. I know. I was obsessed. I felt like I started late in life. I had already raised my 2 daughters, and I was 40 years old, and I was making this huge life change. Art studio, learning to draw, learning to paint. It wasn't a conversation that my family had, art gallery and fine art and all that. That was not a conversation in my childhood or in my youth, but music was. Music is what my family was all about. But
Were either
anyway,
of your
I
parents musicians?
no, no, but my aunt, I had an aunt, my mother's youngest sister, played the piano. She played everything. I fell in love with Broadway music, but I also fell in love with Rachmaninoff, classical music.
Yes.
So that's how that started. And her sister, another sister, was a beautiful, beautiful singer with a huge reputation locally in the Baptist church. So music was what was considered the premier talent in our family, not art.
What
But
do you
I
feel?
did art since I was a child.
Well,
Go
what do you
ahead.
feel, Dorothy, then drew you to fine art as opposed to music, perhaps?
Well, when and I think I'm trying. Oh, I took a class. I took a 1-day seminar to learn how to use more of my brain. Back then, that was a conversation, is that we didn't use all of our brain. And
Now no one has
they
enough brain to
tested
talk
us.
about it, is
Right,
that
right. If we only use 10%, I wanted to make sure I was using all 10%, or maybe I could get to 15. But they gave us examples of and tested us in different areas in different disciplines where our brain might work best. And when they asked me to draw Stravinsky, I think it was, upside down, gave you an upside down drawing
Hmm.
that I think Picasso had done, and they wanted you to recreate it. And I did, and I was stunned, and I realized what they were saying is some of us have more strength in the right side of our brain. And I had come out of the medical field. I had been a respiratory therapist for almost 20 years.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So this was really, really sort of different, but actually probably not. But at the time, it encouraged me to keep trying to draw. Now they also had us listen to music, and I did buy 2 books. I bought 2 things at that seminar. I bought a book by Betty Edwards called Drawing on the Right Side of Your Brain, and I bought a tape of classical music that was what they said children really understand more when they're listening to Mozart in particular. So I bought that too.
Well,
And
Dorothy, speaking of Mozart, when I had my daughter almost 27 years ago, but just about Mozart was what play classical music for your children, they suggested.
That's right.
And then they were like, go buy the Mozart for Baby CD. And I was like, I'll just go get Mozart from the library. I'm just going to go to the San Francisco library. But anyway, yes, I did. I paid attention to that advice and played Mozart for Serna while she was asleep. And I think that's one of the many good things I did that paid off for her. So.
Yeah, and I understand that. And when I started teaching in my studio, and I had children coming to the studio for lessons, I would play Mozart. And but in the art, in the visual art, and so I've always stayed. I actually am attached to both music and arts. But we're talking about the visual art today, and so I've almost forgotten your question.
Me too. I'm like, wow.
So,
but here's a new question. Okay. Do you feel that being an artist model for a length of time helped you be a better artist?
I do, now that you mention that, because you spend a lot of time learning when you're the model. Interestingly enough, when you have nothing to do but hold a pose, you have the advantage of really taking in what the instructor is saying. And I had a lot of epiphanies just sitting there in a pose when I would hear the same thing from many teachers. And I would hear, eventually, the one that I remember the most was, the light in the dark is always darker than the light in the light.
Wait, say that again. Say that again.
The light in the dark is always darker than the light in the light. I know. I had to go sit through.
That's kind of thing. Then you want to snap your fingers afterwards, I guess.
and I must have sit through 5 or 6 classes before I went, oh, I get that now.
But I do, yes, the light that's in the shadows, just as you saying that, I can hear many instructors, especially painters, talking about really looking, don't ignore the shadow, don't just make the shadow a shadow, but there's texture and light, and that differentiates the light and the darkness and the shadow.
That's right.
We sound really smart right now, huh? Wow.
You do too.
It's like, wow, that's well.
But it took a long time to get that.
But you have ventured into music though, because when we talked a few months ago, didn't you share with me you'd done some singing and performing?
Oh yeah. So the way I like to tell the story is, for the first 10 years that I painted, and then I eventually met someone who was a vocal coach. And I always kind of wanted to do that, because when I paint, I always have jazz music playing in the studio, and I sing to it.
Who's your favorite? Do you have a favorite jazz artist?
Jazz.
That you listen to? Who do you grab first when you're there, Dorothy, and you reach over and you're in that mood? Who do you tend to grab first or the most?
When I'm painting, I think, right now it's an artist a musician from South Africa called Ibrahim Abdullah, or the other way around. He's a South African jazz musician, and he's in South Africa, although he was in America for a while. And he plays with what they call an African piano. And I love the sound of that piano, and now I do have a keyboard and I have learned how to play the piano too. But the sound that he makes, and the compositions that he writes, and the musicians that collaborate with him, and the drummers, and It's just so rich and full. And it is when Coltrane is playing, or or Ella Fitzgerald is singing. All of those wonderful veterans are fabulous to me. But the South African musician Ibrahim really really turns my heart somehow. And he's talking about um, he names things after cities in South Africa sometimes, and different situations, and they're just so beautiful. I just that get really it all moves me, but that really I can just paint all night listening to him.
Do you feel, Dorothy, while you're listening to him, you tend to use any like more vibrant colors or anything that comes out more? Because I just, without even knowing the artist, I'm imagining you painting away with vibrant colors, or not.
Yeah, well, I think I have vibrant colors anyway because I was very well trained by Carl Provder to do that. But um, I think that when my heart is moving, there's there it's more conscientious color. It's actually not so much about the color; it's about the brush stroke. The arm and the hand starts to take on a different rhythm when
Ah,
I'm painting. Yeah, I've been well taught on looking at those shadows and finding the light in those shadows, and the brightness of the color and all of that. But when I'm swinging the brush, that's what the music is doing to me. It's moving the brush. It's all coming from my heart anyway. It goes from my eyes, from my heart to my eyes, and then out my hand.
that's beautifully put. One thing, Dorothy, I was thinking about how you said being a artist model made you, well, you hear instructors, which I feel is true. You learn a lot listening, and you're there listening. And I
Yeah.
used to always think, well, why can't I draw? I've heard so much. I can't draw. Because at first I was thinking, I don't know, it didn't affect me that way. I can't draw. And
Well,
I used to think, Dorothy, well, if I was hypnotized, because I think the piece of paper in the fine art realm is quite intimidating. I've seen many artists, from excruciatingly talented, as in they're making their living as an artist, to those
yeah,
very talented in a scholastic, in a school, college, junior. It doesn't matter the level, but
yeah,
talent, you can see talent when you. And I've always been impressed when someone can just take that blank piece of paper, and then you look a few minutes later, and it doesn't even have to literally be you, but they've put a drawing on it, and I've
yeah,
found that quite fascinating. But back to you saying hearing and learning, it's the three-dimensional sculpture that I've
hmm
tried in recent years, because that's one thing I always wanted to do. And I think what I've heard for the many, many years did help me, because I'm not so bad, Dorothy. My first pieces were pretty good.
awesome, awesome.
I'll have to
I'm
show
not
you.
surprised.
I was.
Well,
But
I mean, you sat still, and part of learning is being able to quiet your mind and be
yes,
still. And you did that, and you did that beautifully. And I
thank you.
did that well enough to be where I am now. Is just being, and I'm still quieting my mind. It's a practice you do every day, actually.
But it's not even quieting your mind. It's reading the room sometimes after this. It's you want your mind quiet, but you're also attuned, I feel, to what's needed in the room, because you have to, like, as we said, like, I have to work the room, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you have a room full of students, and everybody deserves because not everybody gets up and moves. Sometimes you go, why don't you guys move? Why do I have to?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when you're respecting the room, and working to, help the artists see what the shadows, the light and the shadows and the shadow, when the teacher's talking about it, look for the shadows, and then you're like, oh God, I've got to give a pose with the shadows and the triangles and the foreshortening. But that's how you learn to work together with the artist.
Yeah. Well, you got more of that than I did, because I just would strike a pose. and they would find the triangles and the shapes and the shadows.
Oh, you mean you never had anybody to say, oh, I need more triangles? Give me a triangle. No. It's like, another triangle.
I did have a favorite pose that I felt like Matisse gave to me. And of course, that's speaking a different language, but there was a pose that Matisse did a sculpture of a woman in this particular pose, and for some reason that became my favorite pose, and it was laying down. And
I was about to say it was reclining, huh? It's a reclining pose.
Reclining. Right. It was reclining, lay still.
Spoken like a true artist, Dorothy, by the way. That's an artist.
Right.
Yes, my favorite. But not from the model usually. See, that's the model perspective. The reclining. Right. But from the artist, that gets old real
Well, I didn't see them often enough for them to get
a little too much foreshortening and just a little too much lying down.
I didn't mind sitting all the time, but at some point I said, oh, well, I'm probably a little too old to stand for that long, but I did do a lot of it. And I stopped. I don't even know why I stopped modeling. Probably because I spent so much more time making art and doing other community activities in my life. It's the reason I stopped actually modeling. And I didn't need lessons anymore.
Share with us, Dorothy, some of the things you've done, both artistically and just for the community there in San Diego, not only artistically, but as a fellow citizen of San Diego.
Yeah. I guess the first time I jumped in to the community situation was when in 1994 we were having our yearly art walk, and it was a grassroots event downtown, and the director of it, nothing was being done, and we could see that there was no progress being made in getting ready for it. So 8 weeks before the art walk was to happen, I stood up and said, okay, I'll make this happen. I'll do this. So the first year, I coordinated 14 blocks in San Diego downtown of artist studios being open for art walk, for a 2-day weekend art walk. So that was I called in all my friends and fellow artists who had talent and in one area or another, and we all made it happen. And then I did that again for 1995 art walk too. And out of that art walk, the second year we did it, we did a publication. My ex-husband and I, we were working together on that, and we did a publication so that everybody could see a sample of the artist's work in this little booklet. It was like a cartoon kind of a booklet. It was newsprint paper. It was soft and easy, and it guided people around downtown. And we had bus shuttles to take people around. And from that magazine, that one weekend magazine, we developed a art magazine called The Publication that was all in black and white that we published for the next 6 years monthly. that was that was a big deal too. And it was free. And it was on all the junior colleges and museums and galleries. And it was all free. And the other thing that came out of that was the mayor of San Diego appointed me as art commissioner for the Art and Culture um, Commission for San Diego, which I served for the next 6 years. And I believe I made a difference being on that commission too, in bureaucratic ways for the arts, of course. Let's see what else. Oh, and the other thing that we did for the community was we when I married Jim, we got a bigger studio than the one I had downtown, and this one was also downtown, but it was about 3,000 square feet. It kept growing. So we had Jug Belly Studio went from my 1,000 square foot loft to 3,000 square feet loft, and it had two studios, one for me and one for Jim Hammond. And we had dinner every Thursday night, and it was a potluck. And anybody could come that was an artist, and they could bring their spouse or their parents or their grandparents or their children or their grandchildren. Anybody could come that, and people came from other countries because UCSD is in San Diego, University of San Diego, and a lot of the art students would come, and they would bring their parents when they visited if they were foreign students, which was also good for my education because then I was having critiques in the studio from people from other countries with their own culture. And that was beneficial. But we hosted at least 35 people every Thursday for 5 years until the ballpark was built and we had to move. But we hosted 35 people at least. And on special occasions like Thanksgiving or something, people who had nowhere to go in particular would come to dinner. And so by the time I turned 50 years old, 200 people came to dinner for my birthday.
200.
For my birthday. I haven't needed a birthday party since.
That's wonderful.
But it became a big community. And by the way, when we started the magazine, eventually the writers on that magazine, which covered all the disciplines of art in San Diego, theater, we had theater critic, movie critic, book reviews, art critics, we had dance critic, we had everybody. But a lot of those writers came from our Thursday night dinner tables. So, and nobody got paid. All of us did it
out of
for
love.
The love of it.
The love of it. And the community of it. Even, I mean, dinners that I remember going to one of your dinners, your artistic get-togethers, and it was wonderful. And it was so welcoming because, I mean, I only, as you will remember, but I just went to San Diego purposely for a short time. I just went to spend some time, meet some artists, and what a great, and enjoy the weather, okay, because it was much warmer than it was. But it was just such a wonderful time. And you, Dorothy, again, you were one of the main reasons it was one of such a wonderful time, because you were so welcoming and introducing me to other artists, and your dinner get-togethers where I met other artists, thus not only to work with and for, but to meet, because that was my goal.
Yeah. Now, when I had to leave downtown because of the ballpark, we moved to an area that was declining called North Park. The town area was in decline, and we got a little storefront there, and we and with the neighbors there, and they were all business people. Uh, I opened a gallery called Gallery 999 in the front of this storefront, and then we lived in the back of it. But we enrolled the neighbors to do a mini art walk. We called it, this name of the street was called, is still called Ray Street. And we named our event Ray at Night because nobody ever walked down Main Ray Street at night in the downtown area. It was kind of, in decline and a little scary. But we had these art events every month on the second Saturday of the month. That's how I asked it to be, so people wouldn't have to read it in the paper. They just know it's the second Saturday. And we advertised in the beginning, but after a while, it just became the custom to come to Ray at Night on the second Saturday. And eventually we had many galleries, and we had architects with galleries in the front of their places. And it was just a special night to be hanging out. And North Park is now really up and coming. It's that was 20 years ago. That was the year of 9/11. We had our first event the Saturday after 9/11 because it had been planned for 6 months, and people were really in need of relaxing because that whole period of time was so tense. So even our first Ray at Night was successful. It had maybe 200 people testing the water, but they were even dancing in the street occasionally. And that Ray at Night continued for 15 years. So North Park is not falling down. It's recovered, and the restaurants are there, and the shops are there, and it's a place to go now.
With your help, with your guidance. Yeah. Well, yes. Yeah. Yes, and I'm glad you say yes just that easily. Because because of the decades you put a footprint and you kept making it. Some people make a footprint, Dorothy, and they start something and it's not that the footprint does it, but they kind of leave it,
Yeah.
Maybe go a different direction, but you've kept the path going, and it's grown, and it continued to grow.
Well, Bettina, I admit, I don't want to leave you with the thought that I stayed through all those 15 years, because I didn't, because I was living in the back of a storefront. So that eventually didn't work anymore. But the attitude, the event continued without me. It continued. And then I started one in the next neighborhood that I moved to, which was University Heights. And they've been doing not the same kind of event. They're doing one more like the one I did downtown, where you visited artists in their homes. And that's been going since 2005.
But you started the footprint, and you gathered people who followed, and then you kept moving. So no, you didn't necessarily stay in the same spot. You didn't hold the same pose forever. But you moved on, and you in your moving, you took people with you who liked the flow and continued the footprint, right?
Right, yes. Exactly.
We're going to take a short break.
Okay.
Because I don't want to forget to take a break. I want to forget to take a break, really, but we're not going to forget to take a break. We'll be right back with Dorothy Annette, my wonderful guest here on Bettina's Buzz on SantaCruzVoice.com.
It's time now to repair or replace your roof. Hi, folks. Warren Knox here of Knox Roofing. Well, we install leak-proof and fireproof roofs. Roofs that look nice with a lot of choices of colors and styles. Gutters, skylights, insulation, and roof decks. We only install proven products with warranties unmatched by anybody. Financing is always available, and we have discounts for veterans and seniors. Do business with Knox Roofing, and you'll also receive a free Knox Garden Box. The number to call again is 831-461-0634. Thanks, folks.
Deer fence, wood fence, livestock chain link, vinyl, iron fence, Cypress Coast Fence, Cypress Coast Fence.
I'm Kevin Donovan, the owner of Cypress Coast Fence, Monterey Bay Area's premier fence company.
And I'm Katie Donovan, Kevin's sister. I'm one of the project coordinators. I'll help you choose the best fence for your needs, and I'll be with you for every step of the project.
We work with local suppliers and employ quality craftsmen to build the right fence to secure, protect, or privatize your property. We've been in business for 15 years and have been voted Best Fence Company for 7 years running.
Give us a call for your no-obligation consultation at 831-783-1500 or at cypresscoastfence.com.
We don't just build fences, we make good neighbors.
Deer fence, wood fence, livestock chain link, vinyl, iron fence, Cypress Coast Fence, Cypress Coast Fence.
Cannabis is one of nature's most beneficial plants. Hello, I'm Jenna. Treehouse Dispensary, we use information about cannabis to build community. Listen to Carly.
Thanks, Jenna. For those who wake up in the middle of the night, Treehouse suggests a THC CBN chocolate edible blend like Sleepy Time from Sensi Chew. Sleep the night away.
For answers to your cannabis questions, ask your friends at Treehouse Dispensary, 3651 Soquel Drive in Soquel, or ourtreehouse.io.
Thank you for listening to Bettina's Buzz here on SantaCruzVoice.com. And on the line with me is Dorothy Annette. But Dorothy, before we go on, I just want to take a moment to say, because Veterans Day was Tuesday, and I wanted to say a special thank you to all the veterans, current and past. I want to give a special moment. I have to say a special thank you to my father, Willie Hubert McBee, Lieutenant Colonel Willie Hubert McBee. Thank you, Dad, for all your service. Thank you for everything you've done. I love you very much, miss you every day, but I know you're with me in every single way. So, Dorothy.
Bettina, I have to put one thing in.
Yes.
Before we go on, because it's such a common error, and I just want to lovingly point out that you're saying Arnett instead of Annette.
Thank you. No, yes, correct me. Thank you, Dorothy.
It's so easy to do because Annette is not a last name for most, that I know of. But when I said I changed my name, I took the surnames out of my name, and Dorothy Annette was my birth name. My middle name was Annette. So I just had to clear that up.
And you should have done it long ago. But I will school, you should have. I always ask people to do that. Quite often, I will even admit, I have people pronounce their last names before I move on. Because in my own history, as I will share, we all know our names are very important. And Dorothy, I've had jobs where people would side-eye you and be horribly upset as I sat at a registration table, especially if their name was not typed correctly on their name badges way back in the day, But anyway, our names are very important, as is mine. My name is spelled MC, capital B-E-E, in terms of name. So thank you very much, Dorothy, for that.
You're just as lovely as you always were,
Oh, stop. Really? Oh, stop. And I really can't.
Send you
What are you going to send me?
Drawing of you. I'm going to send you a drawing of you that is so special. People love it, but
why are you going to send it to me?
Because I love you.
Well, you're so sweet. You know what I have? Okay, forget that other people are listening. But way back in the day, you did the shower curtain. You painted.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I have always thought that was one of the most amazing things, not only because you did it, but you gifted it to me. And then a few years ago, Dorothy, I showed it to my daughter, Serna, who right now it's hers because everything's hers anyway. But she saw that, by the way, and she was like, "Oh my God, this is so cool." And then, so I said, so without her even having to ask, of course, it's her. So then that's when I started thinking, I've got to reconnect with Dorothy because I need another. Now I need my own shower curtain.
There's a young woman in Sacramento no, she's in Stockton, and she has one too that the same way. I gifted to her. I just can't imagine that people still have those shower curtains.
Why? Oh yes, I kept it perfectly rolled in the tube for years, and then occasionally I would take it out and have flashbacks of everything. But Dorothy, I don't know that you can verbalize it, but how do you inspire others? I mean, you've had these meals and through the years and created publications, and obviously you've inspired others naturally, deliberately. How do you do it?
I live to be my best self. And that means that the things that I love, I can verbalize easily. When I'm being my best self, then the words come out. I don't censor myself. I usually don't censor myself, to be more accurate. And what I'm saying is coming from within. And it's not necessarily planned. And I believe that what inspires people is being in the conversation with someone who is being their best self and being completely honest about what has them move in life.
Have you spent time with horses? That's all I talk about these days. But that's a lot of the mentality of approaching a horse. I've both learned and felt, Dorothy, is just be genuine and being your best self.
Yeah. And that takes observation of who you're being all the time.
Constantly.
Yeah.
But it's a good feeling, isn't it?
It is.
I've found comfort in it.
Yeah.
That in that extra awareness, you're actually gaining more by just being more aware, not tuning out, but being more aware is more comforting.
It is. And it allows me to be open and trusting what's going to come out my mouth, and trusting the environment, and trusting the person I'm talking to. And so I think people are inspired to be their best selves as well.
And honesty can go a long way, even if, for example, it's not hurtful to correct somebody on the pronunciation of their name because it's being honest, correct? Wouldn't you hate like to constantly be saying someone's name wrong? And because then after a while, when do you correct them? Right? That's what I've learned. Because then if you let them continue, then what at one point do you say, yo, by the way, you're not saying my name right. The show's almost over. But seriously, it's important. I think we learn, especially as long as we've been around, as long as I've been around, that honesty, as honest as you can be in the moment, is the best thing.
And there's, to be completely authentic here, there's always the fear before you say something that could come out that someone maybe wouldn't take the right way. So, and like even in this situation, I thought, well, that was, that was okay. It won't happen
That's what you
again.
thought
But
about all during the commercial break, huh? You
I
said all
thought,
during
oh no,
you
how
were
am I
saying,
gonna do
how am I
this?
going to tell her? Like, the cannabis commercials playing, and how am I going to tell her?
It's right. You're like,
It's true, huh?
right. So yeah, but that's part of being I want to say awake.
But
Really.
in that, then that's the joy as we're making it is a serious go. That when you are honest, and then someone takes that honesty, and it's just fine. Then it's even
Yeah.
that much more rewarding. Oh God, there wasn't for me
Oh, yeah.
anything to worry about.
Right.
And then you can go, oh
Right.
God, that wasn't so hard after all.
You have no idea how many times I've been in a situation where it occurred to me that I needed to sing a song, even a cappella, and that most recently at a dinner table and in a restaurant full of people.
Do you have that
And
feeling now, Dorothy? Because you can sing
that I
a
need
cappella right now, girl. Go ahead, any moment.
Bettina.
We got 4 minutes, Dorothy.
Oh, I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright, blessed day, the dark, sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Yay! I'm so lucky this morning. Thank you, Dorothy. No, thank you. Really. I mean, that's wonderful. That you trust so much that you'll just go ahead and sing. Because you can sing. That's what, because I was Dorothy, how can people look you up online and see your artwork, etc.? How can listeners find you?
They can find me. I have a website. The website is dorothyannette.com. And I am on Facebook, not abundantly, and I'm on Instagram. There's work there. And you can send me a message through Facebook or Instagram, and I'll get it on my website.
And what projects are you working on presently?
Well, I'm doing a book cover for an author who has written a religious book about Christianity. And I'm doing a cover for that book that involves having Jesus Christ on the cover and speaking with a young woman. And I've been working for years on this project to talk about the morbidity rate for young women and who have become mothers, that children their parents or mothers are dying within the first 2 years of an infant's life. That is a worldwide problem. And so I'm creating something around that is probably a video. And let's see, what other thing am I doing here? Oh, and I'm very sensitive about the relationships of people and respecting humanity, and that we are all one. And so I'm doing a series of paintings of portraits of people that represent humanity. So there's something in humanity that we all have that I'm painting. I don't want to give too much about that away. and um, and then I'm still painting for fun and collaging and all kind of fun things. And I'm still going out and singing in the evening sometime, jam sessions and places like jam sessions, or sometimes I'm asked to sing like at a celebration of life or something. So I'll sing songs there too. And I do have a piano, a pianist who will accompany me uh, when I go out.
Well, thank you so much, Dorothy, for taking time out of your busy, busy life to share time with me and all of us here at SantaCruzVoice.com. And as our last few seconds tick away, we'll talk again, please, very soon, and we'll make plans to see each other. But anything else or anybody you want to say hello to quickly, Dorothy?
There's too many people. I was give a shout out to my daughter Cassandra Gully and her husband in Dallas, and my daughter Ellen Rory Flack, who is a world-class figure skater, and she's in Washington D.C.
Okay, we'll say that. We're all done,
Okay.
Dorothy. We're all done, and I got to clean up for the other
Okay.
people. But we'll talk soon, okay? Thank you.
Okay.
I love you.
Bettina.
Okay.
I love you
We'll
too.
talk very soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
Hey.